Hi everyone, welcome back to Diabetes Unfiltered, where we get real about type 1 diabetes, what it looks like, what it feels like, and how it affects more than just the person diagnosed. I'm Lexi Hovey, and while I don't have T1D myself, my older brother does. Watching him live with this condition has shaped my whole perspective and inspired me to use my voice.
Today, I'm so honored to sit down with someone who's been using her voice in incredible ways. Nicole Johnson, former Miss Virginia, Miss America, and a champion for people living with type 1. Nicole, thank you so much for being here.
I'm delighted to be with you, Lexi. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for shining the spotlight on the cause of diabetes.
Nicole, you made history when you were crowned Miss America while living with type 1 diabetes. That had never been done before. What was going through your mind during that time? Did you feel like you were representing more than just yourself?
Yes, it was how many years ago? Oh, 27 years ago. And at that time, not many people talked about diabetes. It was relatively not understood. People certainly didn't understand type 1 diabetes, and they were really befuddled by the fact that I was using technology and wearing technology to take care of my diabetes. So, through the process of my participation, and when I ultimately wound up on the Miss America stage, I definitely felt the responsibility to be speaking out for all the people who were like me that lived with type 1 diabetes, but I was approaching it from a broader context of trying to be a voice for all people with diabetes because there was so much injustice happening at that time and so many things that we needed to fix socially and legislatively and also from an education perspective. And I just was blessed by God to have my name called and be able to address many of the things that I felt were incorrect in society, including information that year as Miss America, but then also now for the past 27 years working continuously in diabetes.
Did you ever have any diabetes drama moments on stage or behind the scenes, like blood sugars going wild at the worst times? How did you manage it all while staying so poised?
Oh, there was plenty of diabetes drama. I have been known to talk about that pretty openly for all of these years. I am not sure how I did this, but during the actual Miss America competition that was showcased on national television, my blood sugars remained pretty steady and even. And at that immediately after, that was the number one question that I would get from children with diabetes. What was your blood sugar when you won? And it was like 147 is what it was when I finally got to check it. But when we think about um, how the technology that we have today to care for our diabetes, we have glucose sensors and insulin pumps, and they're all connected to each other. We did not have that kind of technology back then when I was participating in the competition. So I only knew what my blood sugar was at the moment in time that I did a finger stick and dropped that blood on the test strip. And now that's relatively foreign to people because we wear all these really cool continuous glucose monitors or CGMs that can tell me on my cell phone what my blood sugar is right now or what it was a couple minutes ago. And I can see a trend. So that prevents a lot of diabetes drama. But trust me, there were lots of instances when I had high of highs and a low of lows because of just the circumstances, the stress, the environment, and all of the different things that I was doing. On top of the fact that I was living with a chronic illness that we don't have a cure for, we're merely managing it moment by moment, which is kind of like putting a repeated band-aid over a wound.
My brother carries around a whole mini pharmacy with him. Juice boxes, test strips, backup supplies. So I have to ask, what were your diabetes must-haves during your Miss America year?
During my year, my low snacks were often little mini boxes of raisins. Uh, and if I could get my hands on it, juice boxes. But one thing that people don't think about is that when I was Miss America, so the moment my name was called, they put everything that I had in Atlantic City at the competition into 2 suitcases. Now, I think I went there with like 15 suitcases. They put everything into two, and that was all I had for the year. Sometimes my mom would go shopping and she'd get me things and replace things that were in the suitcase, but I didn't have a home and I never went back to a home. So treating Lowe's was kind of whatever I could get my hands on. Taking an apple from the bowl at the hotel or, some crackers from an event. So it was very mixed match. Now, today, what I currently use are these little packs of fruit snacks. I love those. And I'm committed to trying to find a new low treatment because I love them slightly too much. And and if I get hungry, I eat it. So that's kind of what goes along with me now. I also always have a glucose meter with me because you never know when your CGM is going to be out of range or not be working properly or expire. I always have 2 times the amount of insulin pump supplies than I need for the time period that I'm gone. So, like if I'm gone for 3 days, I'm planning enough insulin supplies for 6 days, just in case. And I always have an extra vial of insulin in my purse because one time I dropped my insulin and it broke. And so I've been scared of that happening ever since. So even though I've had type 1 for 32 years and have experienced lots of things and am a diabetes teacher now, I still make mistakes and have errors, and that's normal. And so I really do want to normalize that here, but I take extra care to be extra prepared. The other thing that I do that anybody could do is I have a post-it note in my closet, and it's right next to the suitcase, and it says, "Don't forget your diabetes supplies." Because life gets hectic and busy and chaotic, especially when I had a little child that I was taking with me on trips, and sometimes I would forget the correct number of things that I needed. So that just reminds me all the time. Even though I've been doing it for a long time, it always helps to have the reminder.
Living with type 1 is a 24/7 job. And as someone who's watched my brother go through it, I've seen the highs, the lows, and everything in between. But I know I still don't fully get what it's like to live in it. What do you wish people, especially siblings or close friends, understand better about living with T1D?
Mm. That's a great question. And there are a couple of things that I'll say that I wish people knew better. But the very first one is I wish that siblings, caregivers, best friends, whoever they are, um, knew how important they are to the success of the person with diabetes. Um, when the person with diabetes feels supported and feels cared about and loved by the people that surround them, that inspires them to do well with their diabetes. If the person with diabetes feels isolated and disconnected and like nobody cares, then they can't help but do worse with their diabetes. So, to create that perfect scenario, it is so important to have siblings and loved ones surrounding a person and telling them that they can do it, that they're on their team, that they support them, that they believe in them. The second thing I would say is that words matter so much. And I would encourage any caregivers, friends, loved ones to tell your person with diabetes that you're proud of them. Because the person with diabetes almost innately is beating themselves up every day because you're having to make thousands of decisions and judgments every single day to stay alive. How much do I eat? How much did I eat? Did I give the right amount of insulin? Did I not? Why did this happen? What am I feeling stressed? And it can wreak havoc on the person's mind and on their heart. But if a loved one or someone that's trusted tells them that they believe in them, that they care about them, that they know they can do it, that they're courageous, that helps pull someone out of what could be a dark cloud or a dark moment into the sunshine and helps them believe in themselves. So words matter so much. So your presence and your belief and the words that you say are just super important. The final thing I'll say about words is that we want to always be really sensitive and careful to make sure that we're not blaming someone for having diabetes. And I often try to teach about the power of recognizing that Nicole is a person first, and then I got diabetes. So I'm not diabetic Nicole, right? I'm Nicole with diabetes. Just like I'm not Miss America, I'm Nicole that got the privilege of serving as Miss America. So we always want to remember that person first approach because that validates who you are, not what you're surrounded with or exposed to or being affected by. So I hope that makes sense.
Come back for part 2.